I'm bumping heads with the overnight manager. So, so I'm thinking, he's had it out for me, obviously, you know what I mean? So that's what I'm thinking. So, with that, yeah, that happened. So I'm pissed. I don't want to do anything. I'm not doing nothing, man. Like, I don't even trust you at this point. That's literally what I told him. I was like, dude, I don't trust you. I want to hear from somebody else to tell me that this happened. You could be making this up, and I'm about to sign something in. Yeah, I'm like, I'm not doing that. And so that's what I want. I wanted to speak to whoever, not him, but the top HNIC who's in charge, which is the actual head store manager. So with that said, I even didn't get an interview for store manager too, by the way. I did get it. He gave me one, but whatever. Anyway, which is weird. But anyway, and they put me on what they call a path to a store manager. So I get all these tasks and things that I need to complete and things like that for them to consider me to be a store manager. So that's what I was basically doing and shit like that. So anyway, with that said, the plans and everything. Yeah, so I leave. I come, I get pissed off. I leave until I hear from anybody. So I finally heard from someone. I come back the next day to do the drug test or whatever. So I did the drug test. Then after I did the drug test, I was so pissed I didn't even want to work. I didn't even want to deal with him. I was like, I'm going to do this drug test and I'm going home. So I finished my 8 hours and then I put it in my fucking PTO. Because I was like, I don't know what these people going to try to do and things like that. They can turn me. So I was like, I'm using my vacation. I'm going to get paid. So I did. Shit. So, because, you lose it. So I've used it. So I was like, fuck it. So I used my PTO, got paid, and I was off for, I don't know, a week or so. So I'm waiting for them to, because he puts it in. He probably, he probably shouldn't have done it, but he did, because he knew. So, but I'm waiting, as that happened, I'm calling people in corporate, trying to get in touch, let them know what's going on and things, and trying to report this to see what I can do to try to prevent anything that I feel like that might have happened or whatever. So I'm waiting. I'm talking to some head HR lady. I'm telling them I'm waiting back for the drug test, and I haven't heard anything. You know what I mean? Which I knew was going to come out clean. I wasn't tripping. But come to find out, they didn't even send it off. They were already in the terms of, or in the makings of terming me or whatever. So I go in. That's when I, to see, because, I'm coming back from PTO to work and stuff. I think I worked a day or two. And then next, I'm coming in the office the following day, and they're telling me that, they're going to be terminating me and everything because of a decision. And then also because of, what's the word I'm looking for? Safety. Yeah, I mean, it's a word for it, but it's safety in other words. So just leave it at that. So, with that said, it's a violation or whatever. So they had to term me and shit. So they term me or whatever. So I get terminated. So I'm pissed. I'm trying to call everybody, call corporate. I'm ready to sue, Home Depot. I don't want to. I like Home Depot. I don't like that store. Let's just be clear. I like Home Depot as a company. But that store, it's shit. But so I get fired. I'm pissed. Because, like I said, Home Depot was my, I thought it was going to be my career. I'm trying to move with the company, trying to really set myself up for my future again. So I get termed and shit like that. So with that said, I'm like, shit, what I'm going to do now? And then, I was already kind of had it in the back of my mind that, if Home Depot didn't work, I was really considered joining the military anyway, because again, I want a career. and they offer benefits and things like that. I'm a military child too as well. You know what I'm saying? My step pops or my pops, he was in the Marines, things like that. For a long time, he retired and everything. Master guns, things are. I'm right, bro. Um, so they ended up retiring out in North Carolina. It was their last duty station. Other than that, we're in San Diego and Temecula for 9, 10 years, some shit, probably a little bit longer. But anyway, but with that said, and then be out there, and things. I was, like I said, considering joining the military. So, and then talking to my step pops, because he works for Lockheed and Martin and everything, and he is in IT work, software and everything, working for them in Saginaw, Fort Worth, or Grapevine or something like that. Anyway, but he works for them. So he was telling me, you getting older in the military, you better go before it's too late. I was 36 at the time, 36, 35, I think 36 maybe. Yeah, 36, I was 36, yeah. Because that's when it made me start tripping. I was like, dude, I'm about to be 40. I need to figure some shit out. So that's what made me, so 40, 30, I had a plan to be in the music biz. I said if I didn't make it in the music industry by 30 or whatever, then I was going to hang it up, and I did. And try to figure something else out. So that's what it was. Trying to find a path, basically. So, I'm thinking about that when I'm gonna be at 40, you know what I mean? Again, I want to settle down. I want a wife, a beautiful wife. I want to be able to support, my family and provide and, do the things that the man's supposed to do for his family. So that's what I'm really trying to do. Just get myself set up, you know what I mean? Because, again, I was single for a long time, and, I'm saying, I'm being a man and everything, but I was getting old. I really wanted to be with somebody and just have somebody to, just to come home to. Like I said, a beautiful wife, beautiful black woman, by the way, because I love, just going to let y'all know. I date outside my race too, but however, my preference is melanated, real. I love them dark skinned women, beautiful. That's just my thing. Like Kelly Rowland, I always had a thing for Kelly Rowland. It just stuck, and then I dated a few of them when I was young. It just stuck. You know what I'm saying? So, but living in the valley, if I was dating a lot of Hispanic women. So, and then of course I was with my ex for I don't know. It was a while. I feel like maybe 5, 6 years. It was a long time, man. That's why I stayed single for so long, because I feel like I gave her damn near my whole near 20s. You know what I mean? So I just kind of wanted to be free. And then it felt like I was in one relationship to another after back to back. So I was like, I didn't take time to really just beat me and shit and enjoy life and, try to get myself together. Because it seems like every time I'm in a relationship and stuff, it's like I'm always trying to, like, I don't, how can I say, like, you be with somebody and it's kind of like you lose yourself a little bit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it felt like, I guess. So I had to kind of get my mojo back. So, and things like that. And then I was like, I don't want to just jump in something that ends. And then, I felt like I was always just wasting time, and I never really just been able to do anything for myself. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it was about, just kind of just doing that and things and getting my finances together and shit, So, because I want shit. I like nice things and stuff like that. I like to go on vacation. I like to shoot guns at the time. I can't anymore right now, but I like to go to the range and do competition shooting and things like that. Shoot skeet. I have friends that do that. So that's what we did out there. So yeah. So that course that costs money. You know what I mean? So you gotta pay for that. So that's where I was getting to the point where it's like I like to do these things. I like to hunt. And all that shit. And I wanted the Oneida. I don't know if you ever heard of that. Oneida Castro compound bow that was like $2,000, and I was like, I can't even afford a $2,000 bow and some arrows and things, and then a 600. So just little things that I felt like that I should be able to afford. It was fucking with me. So I was like, let me get my shit together. So that's what did it really. And I'm looking at houses, and I wanted a Dodge Ram 2500 at the time. So I'm like, let me really get my shit together. So I started looking at other ways. So to kind of get to where reason why, I was choosing Home Depot and all that shit. But anyway, so that's why I ended up, deciding with the military. With the military, when I got fired from Home Depot, I didn't get shit, nothing. I just got fired, and that's it. I ain't got nothing. I don't get no benefits. I don't get nothing. So I was like, with the military, at least if I put in my time, I know I have a stable job, a career, I got money coming in. They can't fire me because I'm on a goddamn contract, and then I know I'm responsible, so I'm gonna get kicked out. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't worried about it. So I'm going to go in there, do what I need to do, try to rise up in the ranks and things like that. Because I was young Marine in ROTC when I was younger. And I got Iron Mark Awards and all that proof. So I was going to use that to see if I can get an E3 or whatever. In the Navy. I was looking at other branches, but again, I'm older, and I was looking at to see which one I can join. I told myself if I didn't join the Army, I'll try the Navy because I'm too old for the Marine, so I'll be a Marine. And in the Air Force, I kind of didn't. I was looking at I didn't really want to be in San Antonio anymore. It just felt like once Home Depot and things, and then I was trying to see my son. So me and his mom just she being weird and not answering the phone and my messages and shit. So I'm like, man, what am I here for? So I'm irritated. I'm ready to get the fuck out of San Antonio at this point. I'm ready to take this test and leave. So so with that said, of course, I ended up working at Pepsi, which I mentioned for that time, and things, and basically again started working at this place with my roommate, and then of course again, like I said, I met the woman of my dreams, which I wasn't expecting, and then that's when I thought, well, maybe this is why I'm here. I'm here to meet her, and have her in my life, and and all that extra stuff. At least that's what I still think. I'm in here, wishing, hoping, if she sees this, she'll, not run back to me, but at least acknowledge and things. And right now, it's a sticky situation where everything's in her hands, in other words, to put it that way. Let's just put it that way. So, I'm just hoping she really understands, and if she does see this, to know that, that I love her, and that's really what it is. It's nothing else, which I explained in other videos, that, this, I really fell in love with this woman, and I really wanted her to be a part of my future, and things like that. So like I said, I have other videos where, I mentioned, I got into where, I talked about me joining the Navy, because I was trying to do this before I met her, obviously, but then I just met her, so it just made sense, to try to pursue something with her, because, the relationship we're having, it was going great, but yeah, so anyway. So that's kind of how I end up here in San Antonio and things like that. And kind of, which is crazy because I moved out here to, again, be around my son, start a life, trying to get myself on the feet, become an entrepreneur, get a company started, move up in Home Depot at the same time, and, just really just, have a good life and be able to, like I said, provide for my family, whoever, once I met my wife, to, I just want to be ready, like I'm at this, like I said, I just want to be ready, just ready, and, that's what it was, what I'm saying? So I end up, going and it sucks because, every time I think about it, I get really emotional because, and it's crazy because this woman, like, she's my peace and my weakness. Like, she's like, she's my kryptonite, like, it's like, how can I explain it? Like, like, it's love. That's really it, what I'm saying? And she has control over me, and I don't think she realized when things were happening that way that she has the keys to me, like, in other words, like, she could have stopped all that stuff from happening, but again, I was pushing the issue, and she was mad, and so could have just gave her some space, and, we would have been fine and things. But again, I just, like I said, I was always afraid of losing her, and I hate when she's mad at me, like I can't stand it, like, and she knows it, and that's why she does it, like, I can't stand it, like, I hate it, but I just have to, let her be mad at this point, what I mean, or learn to let her be mad, but, so, I try to find ways to get her, sometimes it works, I get her to smile, or, because she can be a little brat, she is, and I love it, though, what I'm saying, that's my girl, or was, so I didn't mind it, So with that said, trying to do the Navy, if everything falls into place, and like I said, I just, So here, let me kind of get into this because I feel like I'm trying to like get somewhere, and I just really just want straight to the point, man. Because I want to kind of tell people, reason why, I love this woman and why, like, because I can be talking about her and people like, well, why you love her? Why this? Well, I mean, it's because who she is. You know what I mean? Like, um, I mean, she's resourceful as fuck. First and foremost, it's crazy because I'll tell you this: when we first kind of got it, in the beginning and things like that, she did a little background search on me. Crazy a little bit, but I was actually impressed. To be honest with you, um, so she looking at me and things like that, and and she realized I date older women or whatever. So I guess that kind of made her, I don't know, like she felt like she can be a little bit mature, which is cool. I understand. So she sees like I dated older women, which I have. I dated women. I think my son's mom. I can't remember how old she is. Shit, I think she may be 8, 9 years older than me. My last girlfriend that was with, I said I need to be by myself. She's 10 years older than me. So, and then shit, my girlfriend before that, when I was in California, she was 6 years. That was older than me. That was one of my friend's sisters, man. And then yeah, so like I said, relationship. I need the time by myself. You see where I'm going with that? While I was single for so long. All right, so you know, so with that said, um, shit, I was pretty much in relationships from 18 to goddamn, man, yeah, almost 30, yeah, 30, 32, 30, something. I don't know, some shit. So that should tell you something. I needed time to really just be by my goddamn self. Don't get me wrong. When we break up between my girls, like I was talking to other girls in between and everything, but not like, like to the point where I can just be, like be in my player stage type shit. So, which I was when I was young, when I was in high school, but I mean, shit. So I guess, but anyway, yeah. So, yeah. So, but yeah, but I got to a point, where she saw that I dated older women. So that kind of made her feel some way. I guess because she's younger than me. She's 9 years younger than me, 10 years younger than me, 9 years younger than me. She's 28. I'm 37. Or 6. No, 9. She'll be 29 in August. So with that said, she sees that. She's like, I hope you don't think I'm crazy. So I'm looking at her, just side-eyeing a little bit, like, but I'm just playing, I'm sitting there trying to, kind of take it in to see how, like, kind of trying to, just really taking it in, just basically, just kind of looking at her. So she thinking I'm a judge or whatever. So I'm impressed. So I'm thinking like, you did a background check on me. I'm like, that's understandable. I mean, you meet me and shit, and I'm like, oh, all right, you might think I'm some crazy nigga, So I wasn't tripping. You know what I'm saying? Because she, we were falling for each other. So she wanted to know, well, yeah, so I get it. But right there, that probably I was planting seeds because, she overthinks shit. And then a few things she told me happened in her past and shit like that. So I understand or whatever. That's what she told me. If I ever pissed her off, she'd have me working for the Taliban right then and there. I was like, I knew not to piss her off. Shit, because she's resourceful. She can find people. She can find do things. I'm not putting her business out there like that. But it just made me very impressed because it just made me think like, well, shit, you can do all this. What else can you do? You know what I'm saying? So that's really what it was for me. So I was like, okay, you resourceful. Good one. I was like, all right. So I asked her to look up somebody for me, and she found the motherfucker. And hey, and I, But anyway. So I was like, okay. So I was like, all right. So I'm thinking right now. And then that's when she kind of started getting into other things and really let me in and things like that. So I'm like, so I guess she think I'm judging her, but really I'm just, I'm impressed because I don't knock nobody. You know what I'm saying? Shit. So I'm like, okay. I'm thinking like, well, shit, what else, like I said, what else can you do? And I'm thinking like, well, I'm going to Navy, come back and actually bring you the bag. You know what I'm saying? Shit, you gonna flip it and tumble it like they say in the Migos. You get the bag and flip it and hey, I'm trying to bring the bag, you flip it, you know what I'm saying? Because I saw that, you know what I'm saying? Like resourceful, responsible, You know, I know if I was gone on deployment, you know what I'm saying, I know we'll have shit. Like that, I knew that for a fact. Because again, like I said, I would study her ins and outs, man. I love this girl so much. I wanted to know everything about her. You know what I'm saying? Like, I literally, like I said, wanted to be her world. Because I said, you know, I don't want to keep going over the same things, but, you know, like I said, like, so, you know, like I said, I see, you know, things the way she shop, you know, her apartment, how she had it decorated. So I'm looking around like, so I'm like, all right, yeah. So for sure, everything was just solidifying everything. Like basically, she was checking off my list I wanted in a female, like in a woman, as far as being my wife. Like checking them off. Like she's strong. She ain't afraid to talk shit to me because I need a woman who gonna tell me to shut the fuck up. What she did, and when she did that, boy, I fell in love even more with the woman, bro. Because I was like, oh shit, yes, you know, I got quiet because you know, I need a woman who can handle me. You dig? So. With that said, she checked off that list. She can cook. Of course, she fine, obviously. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I ain't, you know, obviously other stuff good, you know what I'm saying? But at that time we didn't even sleep together, I don't think yet. So it really didn't even matter. But she took off that. I already knew that was gonna be all right. I wasn't tripping. I already knew that. You know what I'm saying? So with that, you know, like she checked off everything basically on my list, you know, shit like that. You know, of course, we both have children, so, you know, it's nothing crazy about that. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't tripping about no kids or anything. You know, about having any kids either, you know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, you know, she's 28, I'm 37. I'm thinking, like, you know, I'm almost 40, you know what I'm saying? And she's going to, you know, 30 and things. And then we got our kids, you know, you know, like I said, let's get them out the house and set them on a path, like I said, and that way we can, you know, have fun, you know what I'm saying, and enjoy each other, you know, and not worry about, you know, having another mini-me running around because, you know, she already had a 4-year-old, so, you know, that was the youngest one, you know, so she's still a baby. So with that said, you know, having another one would have been kind of like, you know, like maybe wait a little bit longer if that anything, and then I'm trying to get to Navy. I want to make sure we good and before I, you know, even, you know, considered even having kids. You know, I wasn't thinking about it, but, you know, but when I met her, you know, it crossed my mind, but I wasn't trying to like, you know, like make shit happen right then. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I want to get things situated. I like to be ready, you know, having money and everything and being a staff, you know, just financially just situated, you know, when it comes to that, because kids are expensive and things like that. And I don't want to be that family where we're just sitting in the house barely getting by. Like I want to enjoy life. I want to go on vacation. I want us to have a nice house, cars, things. I don't want us to have to be one, you know, for shit. You know what I'm saying? So that was my thing. So, so you know, I was like I said, seeing everything. I was like, man, I gotta be on deployment. You know, just you know, making sure the kids and her are good, and you know, making sure they got money and things like that. And I know we gonna have stuff. So right then and there, bro, I was like I said, just falling for it. You know what I'm saying? So that was really before we even told each other we love each other. But I was like, okay, and like I said, we were spending time with each other a lot. So I was like, all right, you know what I'm saying? Shit, and it was just kind of like that. So, you know, but I didn't mention anything just yet about the military. I was just kind of like just taking it slow and enjoying the moment type shit. You know, so that's kind of how it went. So with that, I'm watching everything, you know, and things like that. Kind of just seeing, you know, how it was. Because, you know, again, I saw its potential. So looking at that. So of course, months later down, or not even months, maybe a month or whatever. Whenever we told her we love her, that's when I really started to really like I guess like study her because you know I fell in love with her. Like I really wanted to know everything about her. You know what makes her happy, what makes her sad, what pisses her off, and she'd tell me. You know what I mean, things like that. And like I said, very easy to deal with. So you know. A little tired, so I apologize about that. But I've been editing all these videos. But so with that said, everything, check off everything on our list. On my list, excuse me. So of course, once that did, I didn't, of course, you know, mention, you know, the military. Like I mentioned in the other video, I'm gonna show those two as well because I don't want to get back into the story and be repeating myself. But you know, she was game and everything, so it again solidified everything for me. So, you know, so I'm just ready to leave, man. I'm ready to get out of here, you know, and so I can come back and start a life with her and, you know, see where this can go, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I'm not trying to jump off and get married right off, you know what I'm saying? Going into the military, you know what I mean? I just kind of want to get things situated and get myself taken care of and and not be sitting here because I knew I was going. Like I said, I'm not going to be talking to no women. I'm in boot camp, A school, and things like that. So women ain't on my mind. But I just didn't want to be thinking about like what she would be doing and shit like that if I'm gone. So I didn't really want to kind of like make it where we were gonna like just or at that time like get married and all that extra shit. I just kind of wanted to me go in, do what I need to do. Of course, if she need anything, I mean, she's my girl. What I mean, at the time, I'm always going to provide that for her. So that was just, not even a question with that. So I already knew I was going to do that. But again, I just wanted to get things done and come home and, and then see where things were at that. And then, if she still wanted to be with me, then I was going to marry her. Because, it's I knew I wanted to be with, but I felt like that distance would have really tested to see if that's what she really wanted. So with that, all this shit happened with my roommate. Like we have a plan where I'm sticking to it, and things like that. Again, she's my motivator. I was already going, but being with her, and everything, and seeing the future, with her in my life and things, it motivated me because I love this woman. I fall in love with her, and I want to be with her forever. So. But with that said, like I said, she's very resourceful, smart, you know what I'm saying, and like hella smart. Like I said, when she opened her mouth to, at work, things, they caught me off guard. So that's what, made me want to talk to her. And like I said, she ain't scary, but like I told you, and she ride, man, like she holds it down, like straight up. Like I knew if I was gone, she gonna hold it down. Shit, you know what I'm saying? So that was something I knew I didn't have to question because I saw that in her. You know what I'm saying? So I was just trying to make sure, I did what I needed to do on my end as a man and, provide, you know what I mean? And make sure she, has the best life that she deserves. That's how I felt, and things. And, I loved her so much. I was going to love her kids just as much, because they're hers. It's part of her, you know what I'm saying? So that's how much I love this girl. I was excited to meet her children and, be a part of their life and things. They got a father. Like, don't get me wrong, I ain't one of them niggas and things like that. I have a son too, and he has a stepdad and all that shit stuff. But, but it's got to a point where I'm willing to be kosher with him, cool. That's his kids. I ain't trying to be drama or be that nigga, like, mean mugging them and shit. Like, I was going to actually introduce myself, try to be cool and make sure shit was just, good. We ain't in here arguing, things like that. And, or he, I wanted him to, I kind of wanted to meet him too. I wanted to see what was going on. So, kind of peep him a little bit, you feel me? That's just, yeah. So, but anyway, and see, because those are his kids, they not mine, but, I'm with her. So, I didn't want him to feel like, I'm trying to, I don't know. So that's how I kind of feel like I feel a little bit, but I don't know. But anyway, so I was willing to do all that, that's how much I love this girl. You know what I'm saying? Because my pops and my real dad, they around each other, they cool. You know what I'm saying? So, they speak and shit. And, I mean, they ain't best friends, but, they speak to each other. He can give them a beer and, and that's kind of it. They may say something to each other. And then after that, they go their way. You know what I'm saying? So, but with that said, so with that said, I was going to try to keep it like that. You know what I'm saying? Nothing like that. So, yeah. So it even got to a point where I didn't even want to move him out of San Antonio away from her family, I mean, if she wanted to be stationed somewhere and said that, then by all means, shit, I was like, all right, shit, let's go. But other than that, I was going to try to, get stationed back out here if I could, or stay on deployment and then just, buy a house, put them in housing or whatever I can, as far as military, and just stay on deployment. And that way we know we got money, because I'm trying to get in the military because I want a bonus again. So I'm studying my ass off. So I can try to get that bonus again. I got a girl and, we can have a family, we got kids. So again, I want us to be good. So I'm trying to study for that, get that bonus, extra little money and things like that. Be on deployment, so I know money's coming in. Money's already coming in. You get that guaranteed checks and shit. Money's coming in. So it was making sense. I was like, okay, I'm going to be able to provide for my family. I may be gone a little bit, but at least I know they got what they need. I wasn't tripping. Then eventually I'll be home. Shit like that. So with that said, yeah, that's basically what I was trying to do. Just provide and be a leader, and protect my girl, and her kids and things like that. And I failed a little. It's horribly. Again, Nothing she did. It was a situation again with my roommate, which you guys already know. I already went over that. But, I just, kind of want to get over that, and let you guys know, a little bit more about her, and why, again, I fell in love with her. So, and she allowed me to lead and to be that man too, and I appreciated that shit. You feel me? She went out here, because, some women you talk to, it's like, I don't know, they always want to be like, kind of like manly a little bit. And I didn't like that shit. I like my woman to be in her femininity. If I said that femininity, I said that wrong. I'm not editing it, but you know what I mean. I want her to be a woman. I don't want, she can do it. She can work on cars. That's another thing, man. She does man shit. Like, she'll get out here working on cars. She'll cut a fucking grass. Like, she'll do that shit. Like, she about that shit. So that's another reason why I fell in love with her. You feel me? She ain't like just some average, prissy fucking female. You dig? So, again, check my list, bruh. Talented. You know what I'm saying? She does modeling and shit. So, I was really looking forward to just supporting her doing her shit. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? So, I really wanted to see her on the runway type shit. You know what I'm saying? Be able to see my girl, down the walk and shit. And just be proud. Just be proud to be her man type shit. So, I just hope you know that, girl. I loved you. I love you. I still do. Ain't no obsession. I'm tired. Been up all fucking night. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure people were filling your head up, making it seem like I don't love you and things like that, and making it seem like I'm crazy, which is, again, it's fair. And I probably made you feel that way, but that's not the case. And if that is, then I was wrong. You feel me? So, if I made you feel like I didn't love you any kind of way from the way, I was acting, then yeah, and that's on me, and I'm sorry. And I didn't want you to feel that way, because that's not the case. Girl, I love you so much, and I miss you so goddamn much. If you ever see this, whatever, just know that, I'm not mad. I understood why you did the shit you did. I was tripping, okay? But again, if you see the videos, you know why I was tripping. I was being manipulated, and I allowed that shit to get in my head. And then all the other stuff that was adding on top of things, and certain things that, that I kind of had questions to, and things like that, I felt like, you kind of blew me off a little bit, and I felt like that wasn't fair, and it made things look more than what they probably were, and it probably wasn't anything, but it's how it looked. And you knew that. I don't know if you were playing games, or maybe you just like, I don't know. I really don't know what you're thinking. But that's just how it felt. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? And then a lot of things, I understand, old girl was interfering and shit in our relationship and things, and it would piss you off. Like, and you were very expressive about that, and again, I didn't mean to string you along and bring you in the middle of that, but it's not like you didn't know. So, but, anyway. But, excuse me, but like I said, it's the reason why, I fell in love with her, and still love her, it's like, I know I can live without this woman, but, it's just hard to picture my life without her, you know what I mean? Because, my whole future was her, you know what I mean? Just trying to make her happy and things like that. Don't get me wrong, I was doing everything for myself, to, of course, build myself up and my goals and things, but at the same time, it was like, I saw us as a power couple, because again, we're both smart people. She might think she's a little smarter than me. So, but which is cool, whatever, a little bit. Yeah. I play dumb sometimes, you know what I'm saying? That's just something I do. I like to see how people would treat me or act if I kind of act like I don't know how to do shit. But anyway. Yeah, I saw us as a power couple, really getting it. She was telling me what she wanted to do and things like that, go back to school, and, how she felt like, she couldn't do that because, being a single mom is hard, you know what I'm saying? So, when you're dealing with the head of household, and you're the head of household, excuse me, again, tired. So, you know, it would stress her out and things, and, you know, she wanted to kind of get somewhere. So my thing was like, well, let me hurry up and get my shit together so I can get my growth situated. Because she was telling me she wanted to be an hygienist, and there was something about starting a boutique or something like that. So, you know, my thing was, shit, well, let me hurry up and do what I need to do. Come back, you know, shit, you know, with the military, there's funding and shit like that. Not funding, but you know, with Navy Federal, you get loans. They know money's coming in, you get loans. So I'm like, we can have a capital. You want to start a boutique? I didn't really tell her that, but I was thinking, you know, that you're gonna start both a boutique shit. You know, if depending if I can get the fuck out of here, you can come back. Shit, we can get a loan. I was even trying to get her a Navy Federal account, by the way, but I don't know. She just kept telling her over and over, and then, you know, but she tired, you know, so driving and things at the time. So we'll do it and we'll forget and shit like that. So with that said, to get a loan or get loans for, you know, her to start a boutique, and she can do her thing, and, you know, I'll just, you know, do my thing as far as military and shit. You know, because like I said, you know, there ain't no 50-50 here. But if my woman wants to have something or wants to do something for herself, I'm not going to say no. I'm going to support her in anything she fucking does. So with that said, you know, that's what she wanted to do, or, you know, get into medical and things. You know, that's what she was already, you know, in school trying to complete from what she was telling me and things, you know. So like I said, we had that in common as far as we wanted to really have a, you know, a life, a good life, you know what I'm saying, and be able to live and still, you know, not just be paying bills, you know what I'm saying. So, you know, like that's what I saw. So I was like, man, that's what I'm talking about, like, you know. And hell, I still feel like we could be that, man, but again, it's everything's in her hands, man, and that's just how it ended up turning out, and she knows that, you know. And that's basically what happened there. You know, but anyway, but you know, that's the reason why I fell in love with this woman. I really just wanted to give her everything. She motivated the fuck out of me to really just do what I needed to do. And you know, what's the craziest shit about it? I was sitting there thinking about this today while I was at work and stuff. Like, she made me think about what type of man I wanted to be for her, and what type of man, you know, or a husband I wanted to be. You know what I mean? And everything. And like, no ever woman ever made me think like that. Like, you know, like, how can I be a better man for this woman? And what can I do, you know, to just show her I love her? Shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's how I knew I love this girl. Because it's like, she got me thinking different. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, my peace and my weakness, bro. It's like, she there, I'm peaceful. She gone, bro. I'm weak. You know what I'm saying? I'm weak. Like, sick. Hell, I'm sick now. Shit, I can barely think, nigga. And I was in jail. Like I said, I was so mad. I did not want to think about her. I came home. She the only fucking thing I think about. Like, she's in the front of my mind. But yeah. But that's how I don't understand, man. Like, what the fuck, you know, like, what happened? Like, you know what I'm saying? And the only thing I felt like, you know, was communication. That was really big of an issue with us. And I don't know if she wasn't used to that in her previous relationship and shit, whatever, you know, things like that. Or I don't know. I don't know what she was used to. And that's what I was trying to figure out, you know, because I was trying to show her, you know, as a relationship, we communicate. I don't need to know, like, you know, what you're doing every 5 seconds and shit like that. But, you know, if I don't think it's wrong to want to hear from my significant other, you know, if I don't hear from her 5 hours or whatever, just to say, hey, I'm at my dad's, or just checking on you and shit like that. You know, what's wrong with that? Like, because that's what I would do. Like, hey, if I ain't heard from you, or if I ain't text you all day, I'll at least hit you up and let you know what I'm doing. And that way you know, have a peace of mind. You feel me? But she knew I wasn't doing shit. I didn't have a car. I'm at home. But if I had a car, she probably would have been blowing up my goddamn phone. But anyway. So, you know, I feel like that was one of our biggest things there. You know, I don't know if that's something she wasn't used to. And then maybe she's used to, you know, and then, you know, she's been by herself, so she's used to doing what the fuck she want, what she which is understandable. Shit, I get it. I didn't need to know what the fuck, you know, like, like I said, every 5 seconds. But shit, if I don't hear from you 10 hours, 11 hours, I'm gonna wonder what the fuck happened to you. I'm not gonna be thinking you doing shit. I'm gonna be worried. Like, are you okay? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like that's something we'll bump heads about. Like, she would, but you know, and half the time she'll, you know, she says she'll be at home or she'll be at her dad's. I mean, it's not like we weren't speaking and shit or she tired and shit. So I would give her a lot of benefit of doubts. But it's like, come on, man. How many times we gotta do this? And then you say you love me. You say, I love you. We in this relationship. You're trying to start something. You know what I'm saying? So I'm thinking like we taking steps a little bit back. You know what I'm saying? So it's got to the point where, so I don't know if it was getting too intense for her. I don't know what the fuck it was. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is like, I'm thinking like, you know, if this, you know, is not something you want to just be cool and just be friends, let's, you know, figure this shit out now type thing. You know what I'm saying? And like, if we just dating and shit like that, then hey, like, you know, where it gets to a crazy point. Because I'm in love with you already. You know what I'm saying? Like, I love you. Like, it ain't shit else. Like, I don't want to be with no other woman but you at this point. You know what I'm saying? I still don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care. I'm not even looking at other women. Like, I'll be at work, like, you know, and I look. You know, I look at other women. I be wondering, all right, shit, I know I'm a good looking dude. I ain't gonna sit here and say I'm not. You know what I'm saying? I pull women. Like, so I'm just gonna keep it 100. But when I met her and shit like that, and like I said, I'm older, like, I knew she was the one. I didn't need to be worried about any other females. Because there's a lot of beautiful women out here in San Antonio, especially beautiful black women. You know what I'm saying? She's not the only one, but, like, to me, she's the beautiful thing I ever seen in this world. You feel me? So it doesn't matter. You dig? So, you know, and I have, all my girlfriends are beautiful. Like, you know, I don't date ugly girls. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, I don't take steps back. I take steps up. You dig? So, but anyway. No, that's it. But anyway, you know, it got to that point, you know, so I'm like kind of hurt a little bit because, you know, I'm really trying to show her I care, you know what I'm saying? And I'm feeling a little unappreciated. So I'm kind of, you know, telling her stuff, you know, she felt like it was me throwing it in her face, but no, it wasn't that. I was just felt a little unappreciated. And I kind of just mentioned something, which I guess, you shouldn't do because my mom does that to me sometimes or would have. And I hate that shit. So, you know, if you're gonna do something for me, do it. Don't fucking mention what you do for me. You know, because I didn't ask for it, type shit. So that was with that, you know what I mean? So, you know, I kind of, like I said, you know, and I would tell her, you know, I did it because you're my girl. You know, if I got money, you got money. I'm doing, you know, I'm always gonna make sure you got what you need. You know what I'm saying? So it's just what it was. And you know, she's one of the women. You know, like women today, y'all always want to be so goddamn independent, but y'all need a man. Like, but don't need, like, come on, man. Like, and it's just fucking. I feel like it's this new generation shit. Like, if y'all in your 20s and below and shit like that, or even 30, or maybe in your 30s, hell, 33 and down, goddamn, 34, 30, no, fuck that, 36, 35 and down, goddamn it. It's like, these motherfuckers, I don't know, man. Like, y'all want to be so goddamn independent, which is cool. I don't need no man, all this other extra shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's why a lot of motherfuckers run around here single, man, and ain't got shit and just miserable and can't be happy and they just fucking everybody and things like that, but not really, and, you know, having anything. And now you just got all these goddamn spirits and bodies and shit that you done bagged and shit like that, but really don't have anything but just fucking badass energy. You dig? So that's what niggas too, not just women. I ain't shitting on my ladies. I'm just speaking in fucking general, everybody. You know what I'm saying? And I'm 37. Like, I see my grandparents. They've been together since my grandfather died, so I'm used to seeing that shit. You know what I'm saying? You know, my parents aren't together, but my stepdad and my mom's still together. Things like that. My uncles and all that. You know, they married shit and still, you know, they together from when they get married and they happy. You know what I'm saying? They ain't fucking miserable and shit. You know, my mom, she don't work. She don't have to want for shit. My stepdad take care of her ass. She sit at home and call people and gossip all goddamn day. I can't stand it, but that's the point. My point is, you know, I'm traditional is where I'm getting at. So, you know, I'm a little old school. So, you know, I feel like, you know, there's nothing wrong with, you know, finding someone you love and being with that person and trying to have a life, you know what I'm saying, and build something versus a lot of these motherfuckers just want to run around here and just fuck everything that walks type shit. So, but that's how it is, it feels like. And then, you know, if you got friends like that who's single and they ain't got nobody, they gonna want you to be single and miserable with them, partying up and doing all this extra shit because, you know, they just want you there, but not, you know, because they ain't got nobody. Because I guarantee if they got somebody, they ass gonna be at home with them. So, but anyway, which you shouldn't let your friends influence you in things when you got something good going on, you know, because they don't really know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? We private. We don't talk about shit. We didn't. Hell, you know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't care if people knew we were together. Hell, long we knew. That's all that mattered to me. Fuck everybody else. You feel me? So I wasn't tripping about if people acknowledged all that extra shit. Like, it didn't matter. Because in my eyes, nigga, I'm getting us the fuck up out of here anyway. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't tripping. But I don't know. I don't know if I made you feel that way, and if I did, you know, again, you know, I don't want to keep apologizing, but yeah, I mean, that wasn't my intentions at all. So, but yeah, I'm tired. I'm trying to make sure I stay on subject. I'm already hitting 45. So I don't want to keep talking in this video and then it'd be an hour and then, you know, no one wants to watch it. So I think I might end it here. But, you know, like I said, you know, I just want to let people know I'm cracking jokes and laughing and stuff, but none of this shit's funny. You know what I mean? I love this woman, you know, and I'm sick, you know, I'm hurt and she's, you know, gone, and, you know, I have a lot of questions and things like that and shit I don't have answers to, but at this point I can give a fuck less. I don't even care what she was doing before me. Not before me, but, you know, what she was doing before, you know, once we broke up and all this shit, or what happened, questions like that. Other than that, I don't give a fuck is where I'm getting, because I'm tired, so I'm probably going to cut this short, but I just want, you know, the people to know, you know, that I'm not the type where, you know, we're not together. I'm not going to question what the fuck she's doing. If you ever, you know, allow me to come home, because I ain't going to tell you to come home. If you allow me to ever come home, baby, I'm not going to give a fuck about what you was doing at all. I just want to hold you. I don't give a fuck. I'm not going to ask you. If you want to tell me, that's on you, but I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to question you. Like, I need my Michelle. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, and I'm the bomber. Like, you know, I'm trying to do this, you know, this law thing, and, you know, I don't know. I need my peace of mind. It's gone. You know, and all this did, you know, I'm not mad at you. All this did was just make me want to change, you know, my rates as far as IT. And, you know, get into, you know, being an attorney and things like that. It's really, and it sounds crazy, I know, but, you know, I like to read. When I was in jail, I was, you know, learning about the law and shit anywhere. I was already putting out motions and shit like that to reduce my bond and things and to get out of there. And so I was learning things. So, you know, it kind of made me a little savvy as far as how the law works. And then, you know, and then I don't like how people were getting treated in jail or certain things that was happening. So, you know, I want to fix that. I want to be able to help people, you know. So that's why I want to do it. You know, it'll take some time. You know, I have, you know, of course, you know, the situation. I don't know if you're informed or anything. Like I said, if you see this, you see it. If you don't, then I'm talking to myself. But, you know, I just want you to know I'm not mad, and this, you know, just kind of open my eyes and things like that as far as, you know, my path and what I'm gonna take. You know, getting into, you know, the Navy and stuff, it's not over. You know, I just gotta wait. You know, I still have until I'm 41, so I gotta hurry the fuck up. But once I get everything situated, pay everything off, I should be fine. So, you know what I'm talking about. And if I ever need to put in money or put in work for whatever, just so, you know, and I'm wishful thinking, but if I ever need to pay anything or do what I need to do for you to come home or for me to come home or whatever fucking, I'm not talking about the house. You know what I mean? You're my home, girl. You know, I will. It's my fault. So, you know, I'm willing to fork up the money so we can be together. You know, but with that said, you know, trying to get into the military, I gotta wait. You know, And then once I leave, do what I need to do, take my test, again, or retake it, or well, I was supposed to go on the 23rd of September, not retake. I didn't take it all, but study. I was going on the 23rd. I went to jail on the 1st of September. So, and that's, just, I'm hoping, because I can't reach out. I can't do none of this crazy shit. So I'm hoping somehow this gets to you and shit like that. And you understand that, I loved you and I wasn't crazy and things like that. And and things, and I understand. But, it's not over. We can still have a future. May take a little bit longer, but it can happen. And the whole time, like I said, I want to do JAG now. Take my ASVAB, do JAG, become a legal man, which is a paralegal in the Navy, and study up in law, and eventually get myself in school, and go for law school. Could be a lawyer, maybe by depending on how long I'm in the military. If I do 4 years or another 4 or whatever, I probably will stay in and continue school. That way we have what we need and things like that. And then stay in school and go, get my law degree. That's going to take about 6-7 years. I want to do it in 5, but wishful thinking. So maybe 47, 50, 50, or not, 47, 48, 50. Like I said, depending on the terms. I could be a lawyer by that time, and by that time, again, as far as which just sounds crazy, but you have to set up for a future. I'm still having a career and things like that, So, but you know what I mean. You're not a child. But and like I said, I need my Michelle, because with that, I'm here. I see how people are mistreated, and it kind of makes me want to run for something a little bit. And why not run for DA or assistant, anything within the city, to be part of the city, of wherever wherever we are. Again, wishful thinking. For you to be, and I need my Michelle. You're a smart cookie. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I miss you a lot, and I'm not mad. I do want to bring up something, and I don't know if I'm tripping. If I am, I am, but I swear I saw you some time ago, and that was your chance. I wasn't mad. You know what I'm saying? It could have been you, it could have been not. I just don't know what's the odds of the same exact car you drive. You was wearing a dress. It just so happened to be a black woman. I couldn't really see, like, it was tinted a little bit, but I saw a black woman. I don't know. But it's just a little strange. But you know what I mean, if that was you. If you don't, then hey. But, yeah. But with that said, to everybody, like, subscribe, all that extra stuff. More confessions coming soon. Like I said, this channel is really, I would say therapy, I guess, talking to the people, kind of just getting things off my mind, off my chest that I think about and I want to talk about, because I drive myself crazy, think about a lot of the stuff, and sometimes I'm end up here just, just ranting it up and trying to, just kind of just getting my thoughts out, and it doesn't make sense. It sounds like I'm just in here talking to myself. So it makes sense if I just, just put it on camera, put it out there, and just let's see what happens, basically. So, but with that said, like, subscribe, and all that good extra stuff, and I'll be putting out more content and things like that. But I really appreciate everybody listening to me, and if anyone sees this and y'all know her, tell her I want her, and it's not like that, but I want to come home. And I'm not mad, and I just hope you're not upset and you find in your heart to not be upset anymore. Which you probably not. I don't know, but we both overthinkers. We both think of scenarios and we let that shit play in our head and all that shit. So we're Leo and Sagittarius. We're soulmates. At least that's what it said. So. But, if that's true, then, I'll see you again, God willing. But with that said, I'm out of here. I've been ranting all night, and I appreciate y'all listening to me. But y'all take it easy.